The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all. Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time, because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.
Blessings, 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 Primetime Home Buyers family and the Secure Your Energy family. All my investment newbies, gurus, people who are just paying attention to the market, welcome to Primetime Home Buyers. And you're here with your host, Lashley, Primetime Team Lead. Okay, so today we're not going to be talking about tax liens and tax deeds. I know I am supposed to be following up with a review dealing with taxes and purchasing home and selling home. So we will be following up with that content, but I wanted to keep a little bit spicy. Okay, so today we're going to do Market Watch with Primetime Home Buyers, tax lien expert, trending topics. And you know what we do. We have been going over scams, typical scams related to creditors, as well as general scams, home scams, and much more. So we're going to talk about some updates in the market. We're also going to talk about some scams, okay? Share a few stories with you guys. And then we're going to get into the reality of where we're at as individuals. This is something that we've been talking about for months, getting prepared. And that is securing your energy any which way you could, not even just, finding something that can yield you interest, but also make sure that that interest that you do get, that you're invested in something that is going to stay strong in this market, i.e. our dollars is not going as far as it used to. So I always recommend investing in gold as well, not just real estate. I don't have a particular vendor. I used to deal with one vendor, but it was a blessing because it seemed like it was a pyramid scheme. At first, I didn't think so. That's why. Well, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. Yes, it was. What's the name of it? I got it right here. Do I got that stuff here? I'm not carrot. What is it? Carrot gold. You know what I'm talking about? Carrot. I had did that. It was like a multi-marketing type thing. And that's what really got me into learning about gold. And it was a blessing. I didn't receive a lot of interest from dealing with that company, but I did receive gold, real gold for that company that I purchased. And what I did was actually make sure that I had it in my hand. So that's how I didn't get scammed from Carrot Gold. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Because a lot of people who allowed them to keep their gold and hold the gold and then they could pull it out and put it on credit cards, it was a problem. You remember that? Hold on one second. Let me fix my hair. Okay, so I got shoulder issues. I'm an old lady, so doing that side thing got my shoulders hurting. So anyway, that's how I got into gold, and I always recommend it. I continue to buy outside of that actual thing, Carrot Gold, and found some good vendors online that allowed me to invest. And a couple of years ago, an ounce of gold was about $500, and now it's up to $800. And I do believe it's going to go to $1,500. But I'm just going to shut up. I'm just going to live it. Now let's get to something serious, because a lot of what's going on in our economy, credit card interest, not being able to find somewhere to live, pay rates does not match the actual inflation, which is causing people not to even want to work. You see what I'm saying? That is a lot of factors. So this first article we're just going to highlight is man left suicidal and sacrificing food after being harassed by debt collectors. This was December 22nd. um, updated article, is really affecting us mentally. That's why I said we have to be prepared, spiritually be grounded. It's sad, but if you have never lived in poverty, you really gonna have to prepare yourself. People who have lived in poverty, live with not that much. When you lose it, sometimes you lose that money, you kind of know how to deal with less. So that's the most important thing, just having that mental stability, deal with all these changes. Around 2.5 million people feel harassed by the calls, text messages they receive from debt collectors. A man shares his story. Now, did it start on the side? I don't like that. Robbie likes, let me make sure. Okay, I want to switch myself on the screen. You see how that look? I don't like the way that looks, but we're just gonna read it. Rob feels like he is both driven and being crushed under rocks. When the debt collectors start to call, the letters arrive and the emails fill his inbox. He goes into a state of panic. His anxiety skyrockets. If you are anxious or depressed, Rob says the feeling of being put upon making you become more anxious and depressed, and you probably won't move. The communication from creditors had driven him to suicidal feelings. After decades of struggling with his mental health, his vulnerability and the risk it might pose seems to be ignored when companies try to claw their money back. You can't get nothing for when you don't got nothing. You see what I'm saying? And he is far from alone. Around half of the people facing debt in the cost of living crisis have had suicidal thoughts in at least 20 in the last 20 months. Um, Researchers from the Money and Mental Health Policy Institution have revealed. The charity founded by money saving expert Martin Lewis has found that 2.5 million people feel harassed by the calls, texts, messages they are receiving from predators. Martin Lewis says some people are being swamped by phone calls, texts, and letters from multiple predators a day. That leaves them feeling overwhelmed, harassed, feeling unable to even escape the situation. The concerns is heightened due to the cost of the living crisis, the high cost of living crisis, a time where half of the people who are behind on bills says that they have felt suicidal too. On Our message to the government and regulators is simple. We need urgent action to prevent creating more unnecessary distress for the people who are already under massive strain. Okay. Robert, who is 58 and based in Kent, understands this strain. Having faced years of trauma, addiction, and poverty, I have episodes of bad mental health throughout my life, he said. My first attempt suicide was my teens. I then had a brain hemorrhage, which made things worse. I was a drug addict for 10 years. Then in my last 40, my husband and I started then in my last 40, my husband and I started a divorce that was expectedly bad, exceptionally bad. I do apologize. It left me homeless, penniless, and familyless. He has been hospitalized 5 times in the last 5 years. He was bounced between temporary accommodations and shelters before he got a housing association flat 6 years ago and got himself into therapy. His life started to turn around, but money continues to be a struggle. I don't tend to plan financial. I don't tend to plan financially well. So when I don't have money, I don't eat. Robert said, and when I don't have money, I tend to be very gracious with my money. He said, when I do have money, I tend to be very gracious with my money, and in no way a healthy thing. Robert has had periods of manic spending, running up store cards, and overdraft. The spending and subsequent debt can contribute to the feeling of anxiety and depression and feeling trapped. Now, there's a lot going on here, and I know a lot of us have many of this going on with us. And it seems like Robert is in a cycle of buying, spending, credit, owing, stress, not paying back, which most of Americans are in, especially when one, we're bombarded by the TV telling us that we have to buy this. This is nice. This is new. Looking at all the stars. This is some of the mental impact it has just on a regular person, and we don't even understand it. Highlighting that even if you're working, and I'm just going to say in the state of Georgia, for instance, 2 or 3 jobs, because that's what they say, oh, the market is up, so many people got jobs. No, it's literally one person that has 2 and 3 jobs. Get in. They're still barely paying the rent, insurance, car insurance. We're talking about health insurance, car insurance, food. What else we got going on? Lights, electricity, internet, cable, if you could do both. Then you have your other needs, your personal needs as well. Transportation, not just the insurance. I'm just naming things. You see what I'm saying? And that's all done on an income where they don't even want to give the average person um, minimum wage, which federally we're supposed to be at $15, and that's not even helping us. But that's where we're at in the market as the average person. I'm just going to be honest, okay? Now, why U.S. credit card debt is at an all-time high? That's the next thing we're going to look at. You know why it's at an all-time high? Because these creditors wasn't regulated, and our interest rate is at a 20%. People were using the credit cards to survive, and now shit is hitting the fan. I'm just being honest. It's just this is some of the factors to me. Okay, let's watch this together.
We're back now with a look at Americans' finances as we approach the holiday shopping season. New data shows Americans are digging themselves deeper into credit card debt, which is now hitting an all-time high.
For the first time ever, the total credit card debt across the U.S. has topped $1 trillion. That's a $154 billion spike from this time last year, and the largest increase in more than 2 decades.
For more on this, we're joined by Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver. Caleb, good to have you with us. So just what do you make of the staggering amount of debt? Break it down as to why we are seeing these higher credit card balances.
Yeah, we're big spenders, and this is the largest debt increase since 1999. Why? We've been spending a lot. We still have persistent inflation. It may be slowing, but prices are still high, and credit card APRs are north of 20%. So remember, credit card APRs, the interest you pay on your credit card, that's variable. So as the Fed has been raising interest rates so aggressively, 14 times, you see these credit card APRs go up, yet we keep spending into it, and debt is increasing. That's what we're seeing right now.
So as Joe mentioned, first I'd like to point out that you put it as we're approaching the holiday shopping season, because that's right. Nobody's needed to start yet. I certainly haven't. But people are going to start spending more. Actually, according to the National Retail Federation, people are going to be up with their spending, set to spend an average of $875 on gifts. I mean, what happens when you factor that into the already mounting debt?
Yeah, you're going to see more credit card debt. You're going to see more buy now, pay later usage. That is already up tenfold in just the last few years since they rolled it out. That is also another form of revolving consumer debt. So we are spending ourselves into debt. The savings rate, which was so high during the pandemic because a lot of people were getting checks from the government, that has gone from a high of about 14-15% to about 2 to 3%. So less savings, more spending at higher APRs. That's where you get this record debt.
As I said, even if you spend less with an interest rate of 20%, you're done. You're done. It's ridiculous.
You more about buy now, pay later. That is becoming more popular. Basically, no fees, no interest. You usually have to pay back within 6 weeks, assuming you do pay it back within 6 weeks. How does that compare with credit cards? What are the pros and cons of going that way?
Well, the pros are the lack of interest on it, but a lot of people become very delinquent on BNPL, buy now, pay later services, and people usually with the lowest credit scores and the least ability to borrow use buy now, pay later. So it's a cyclical debt cycle that you get into if you don't pay these loans back. A lot of people turn to those, and a lot of people turn to their credit cards now, even if they have these high balances, because they don't want to not shop. We shop like it's our job here in this country.
Right. Give us some advice. How should you go about paying this down if you are sitting in some credit card debt?
Yeah, and a lot of people are. And when you have really high debt at a really high rate, you've got to call up your credit card company. They don't want to lose you. Believe me, as a customer, call them and negotiate a better rate. If they won't, other credit card companies would love to have your business consolidate under a lower interest rate. Or if you have to, take out a personal loan, wipe out the high credit card debt. Those loans are usually at a low rate, but you got to pay that too. So don't get yourself into this debt cycle where you're just borrowing from one thing to pay the other and never paying the big balance off. But that's the way to do it, and control the spending. It's really hard, especially going into the holiday season, but you have to retain that high interest credit card debt. Got to keep it low. That'll hurt your credit score in the long run.
I feel like
he gave a lot of great information. Please, let's just rewind that. Again, if you have a high APR on a credit card, sometimes it's good to get a balance transfer to a credit card that will give you an 18-month interest free. But you have to make sure that you pay that down in this reasonable that you will be able to do that. I have done that a lot with my Discover card. Discover does a lot of great things like that, but you have to make sure that if you doing a $12,000 transfer, how are you going to break that down in 16 months? How are you going to break that down in 12 months? Realistically, when you have all of these other bills going on. So it's also based on the income. That's why it's good to have a diverse portfolio, different things that you're investing in, things that are stable. Okay, maybe things that's a little bit unstable. You can play a little stock market and things, but you really want to have a lot of assets that is liquidatable, and that is, to me, land and gold. That's the only thing I can really see right now. Those are the two things that I can see right now that the average person can get that'll allow them to hold assets that is right now, as far as the market, because they're increasing the interest rate, it's making it hard for people to even buy homes. But there's still a lot of sharks out there trying to buy up homes. That's some of the things we're going to talk about on Secure Your Energy. I have had a lot of interactions with different companies that offer to buy your home as is, and I wanted to share with you some of those experiences. I have came across a lot of scams. I had to protect myself, protected one of my properties because they just like, yeah, this, that, and the third. So that's some of the things you need to be aware of, especially when you're trying to cash out on your assets. There are sharks out there. So what he said, why spending? You got to slow down. What you see is not what you get. Just because you see it on TikTok and look nice doesn't mean you need it, especially in the market that we're in, especially in the situation that we're in. We're not making the amount realistically for the cost of living. So we have to cut back. Okay. So I like the things that he was saying. I wanted to show you that. Trending topics. We're going to talk about the bad, but we're going to give you the good. We're going to remind you. It may not be easy, but this is something that you got to do, because if not, we're not going to survive as the average person. You got to think wisely, even if you're not invested in tax liens, foreclosures, whatever you are investing in, you make sure that you know the market, you understand what's going on, and you pull out when you got to. Just be ready. Don't be too attached. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about what's going on in New York. New York might force everyone to have roommates. Now, this is at CNBC television. This is Cash Jordan. This is a YouTube page that I came across. We won't watch the full 12 minutes, but we are going to put it up on screen and get a little insight of what they're trying to implement in New York. New York is going through it. They are, not only do they have a mass influx of migrants, the Airbnb sector literally caused a housing crisis. This was something that I had went across. It caused a housing crisis because people wanted to just Airbnb everything. Okay. And when they Airbnb everything, that means that people who were looking for long-term rentals was having problems, and it caused the cost of renting to go up because Airbnbs cost a lot. So that was one of the things as well. Not just got the money going in people's hand and coming out, and the inflated rental prices that's not regulated. The Airbnb played a role in this too. So let's play this.
Empty office space or leasable space in Manhattan. That is equal to 40 Empire State Buildings of vacant space.
And there's a new plan to turn those empty offices into gigantic apartments where people will live with 30 different roommates. 30 different roommates. That's crazy.
Across New York City, rents are taking no prisoners.
Are they considering that we are at a certain income level?
We have too much unused office space and not enough housing.
Renters need to look to the city for help and not their landlords.
But right now, only certain buildings in certain areas can be converted.
Would that hurt you if rent went up by 6 to 9%?
Definitely. My raise may be 2%.
We must remain a place where everyday people can find housing.
We're about to see the model for how New York City can turn its empty offices into apartments, if you're open to living differently.
How differently are we talking?
Let me show you.
But in order
different. We're going to watch a few minutes of this. This is a 12-minute video. This is not shown on Rumble, but it is on YouTube. And then I'm going to share it down. Shout out to this YouTube page. I do apologize. I said his name, Cash Jordan. Appreciate this. Let's react to it.
In order to understand why some people think this crazy new plan might actually be the solution to New York's housing crisis, it's important to understand exactly what the city is facing. More empty offices than ever before, and hundreds of thousands of people are struggling to find affordable places to live. Plus, every week, more and more companies are shutting down their offices and moving out.
WeWork, the company that revolutionized co-working spaces, is shutting down dozens of offices, which could put New York City on the verge of a commercial real estate crisis.
And their plan is to close 70 locations, half of which are in New York City. And that's because people don't need to work from offices when they can work from home. But this think tank has a plan for all of that empty office space. But many people are going to think it's controversial because it involves turning these massive empty offices into gigantic co-living commune type apartments where you could have up to 30 different roommates. It's never been done before in New York. Think of it as WeWork, but for apartments, where you can get a room like this, which is like 80 square feet. This is like a college dorm for adults with a full-time job or students. But supporters of this plan say that it's the fastest way to fill these vacant offices with people. And unless people start using these again, the city is going to be in big trouble.
For $17 a month. Let the commercial go by. Y'all see me in shock? I'm in shock. This is my raw reaction to this. I can't believe it.
And all these empty offices are causing New York to enter what's called an urban doom loop. In 2019, 90% of office space was occupied. That dropped to 10% in 2020, and it's bounced back, but only to about 48%. And now, because of work from home, companies who normally lease a massive space are downsizing or just closing up altogether. Times have changed. They don't need a massive place for all their employees. They need a smaller space that their employees can use sometimes. But now that these offices are generating less rental income, their values have tanked, and the city's property tax revenue from the value of these buildings has also tanked. Lower property tax revenue means less money for schools, less money for the fire department and the police department. And then crime starts to skyrocket. And in order to make up for the lost income, the city has two bad options: cut spending or raise taxes, neither of which is going to make anybody happy. And the last thing you need to know before
they're going to raise taxes and keep spending.
Before we investigate these communal living arrangements is that as people leave the city, offices like this one will have even less people inside of them. And the cycle continues. The value drops further. The city has less tax revenue. Crime and stuff continues to skyrocket. That's the loop.
Remember, but don't forget, we have a mass migration coming in, okay? Don't forget. I'm gonna take a look at the living conditions, and then I'm gonna leave this link so you can watch the full 12 minutes, okay? I'm amazed.
But how does this fix New York's housing problems?
Well, multiple people can live here. This is a smaller version of what those empty offices need to become if they want to be turned into apartments.
So this is like what, the common living room, kitchen?
Exactly. And all of the bedrooms share the common kitchen and bath.
But here we only have like a single bath.
Yeah, this is a single bath. In order to work for those big office buildings, this would need to be turned into essentially like a locker room.
Oh, like a whole bunch of bathrooms. Yeah. Interesting.
This apartment's about 1,000 square feet. Those empty office buildings are about 10,000 square feet per floor.
Oh, wow. So this is 1/10 the size of what everything else would be.
Yeah, exactly.
The game is to make sure we get the zoning to get out of the way so that we can use the creativity to address the housing crisis.
You know,
now they will do this, but they won't regulate the rent as well. Okay, that's what caused the housing crisis. Affordability. Why is it high? How can people afford it when it's high? And what's going to happen here? They're probably going to charge about $700-800 per person to stay in this. I promise you, because the average amount of rent in New York is about $3,000. Okay, so I'm going to share this link with you guys. I'm going to share it in the comments because usually I update my videos the next day because I'll be having so much going on. Shout out to Primetime Homebuyers. I appreciate you guys and us being live on Secure Your Energy today. Now let's get into another trending topic. I just don't want to jump off of New York, but what I will say is there's a lot of factors that played a part, in regulation of what's going on with the rent in New York plays a part, and as well as what's the requirement for rent. And I think LA had put a El Stapo. I think I have that video. LA did something as far as stopping homeowners that rent out for charging more than $1,000 or 1 month's rent, as well as stopping evicting people if they have a friend or someone come visit them more than 30 days. If it is that situation, they just have to let the landlord know that this person will be staying there longer. Okay, they trying to get us ready to cohabitate, and it's so crazy because I was talking about this 2 years ago. Like, I just feel like we're gonna all have to cohabitate to make this happen because the market was just crumbling. Okay, so now we have another video. Chase customers outraged after reports of scam continues. So not only do we have the high interest rates as far as what we were talking about prior, we still got scams going on. And this is where we're going to move into some scams. Okay. So, and one of the main problems with this, if you have the credit card company that don't want to address it, you be up shit's creek without a paddle. Because these people will take your credit card right now, you drop it, and they'll spend it a half an hour, right? Go straight to the mall. I have had it happen, and they have contact me like, "Did you buy these Uggs?" And they know I don't shop like that. I was like, "No." They like, "Shut down the credit card. Shut down the credit card." You know, I'm telling you, get a good credit card. So let's watch this together.
Hard-earned money gone. Fox 13 previously told you about a scam impacting a business owner in Gig Harbor. Now tonight, 2 more Chase customers say they're out thousands as scammers continue to target them.
As you can imagine, they're very frustrated. Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman joining us live after talking with them tonight. And Allie, you've been trying to get some answers.
David, Jamie, I can tell you that we have, and it's been a long battle. These customers say that all they want is for their hard-earned money to be put back into their savings, checkings, or even business accounts. But instead, they've received letters or blank statements saying that they've benefited from having their money transferred to other accounts. They say that this is not what they intended for their accounts to be. Right now, all they want is for their money to be put back. Here's what they had to say.
It all starts with what seems is a warning message.
Chase Bank, did you attempt a $2,500 pending Zealy? Reply yes or no.
David Burdick replied no and says within minutes he got a call from whom he thought was a Chase representative the morning of January 19th. He says he was asked to go on the mobile app and verify if any other charges appeared to be fraudulent.
He knew the stores I went to, how much I spent. And so that's what can make me believe that was actually a real person from Chase.
The 38-year-old says the alleged representative told him they'd have to transfer his savings into his checking account to prevent any more fraudulent activity. He transferred $4,355 with 12 cents with the promise of an email and a new account.
So I called Chase and asked him, like, hey, dude, where's my information? You know, where's all this details? And they just kind of laughed and they're like, dude, that's a scam. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they go, oh, yeah, this is a known problem.
He says his money was wired to an account in Florida. David called customer service and filed a complaint with the executive office.
I feel betrayed. I feel like, as we were taught growing up, you put your money in the bank. Your money is safe. Don't have to worry about it. It's insured. You know, no worries. That's not the case.
He's not alone. Nearly 2 months ago, on December 19th, Trevor Sneva received the same text message.
Did you just try to wire transfer $9,000? Yes or no?
He, too, went through the motions. He answered the phone after responding no, hoping to keep his business account safe.
He asked for my password. I wouldn't give him that.
However, he says they made him sign a document to keep the money in his account. But after getting passed around to another representative who asked for security questions, he hung up and drove to his local branch in Spokane.
While I was sitting at the bank, like 2 more wires went out for $9,000.
Wow.
$9,250.
Total of $20,000 taken from his account. Fox 13 reached out to Chase, who declined to an interview, but sent us this statement saying in part, imposter scams are a societal problem. Scammers impersonate companies, banks, and even government agencies to try and trick customers out of their hard-earned money. We urge all customers to ignore phone or internet requests for money or access to their computer or bank accounts. They also sent us these tips, recommending you protect your personal account information, passwords, and one-time passcodes, saying if you want to be sure you're talking to a legitimate representative, call the number on the back of your card or visit a branch.
But when it's the same number, I don't know. I got a lot of blanket excuses of what I did wrong. I really don't know.
Tonight,
So
every single one of the
bad.
victims Fox spoke with
Ooh.
says that their accounts have not been reimbursed, and they were told by Chase that they would not be. We reached out to the FBI, who says they're aware of the ongoing scams and they're tracking them. They also say, and they urge you to file a report with them as soon as possible. 2 of the victims have already filed one and are
Oh
waiting
my
to hear
God.
back. If you
I'm giving
feel
her the
you've
face.
been a victim of a scam, we have more information on how you can file that report on our website, fox13seattle.com.
She like the messenger talking about, and you would not be reimbursed. Oh my God. And you know what? I get texts like that all the time. I told you that before. I received one that said your package has been delayed. Please hit this text. I'm like, I ain't have no package, or you had your order is on its way, and then it'll be an email, text. They have this system where everything is connected. I promise you. I have 2 separate phones on from 2 separate companies. Okay, one is a business phone, one is my personal phone. One is from AT&T, one is from Boost. Why? Just the other day, my phone rung, my business phone, and I'm like, okay, I don't know that number. I'm not picking it up. And when I didn't pick it up, it seemed like aggressively my personal phone rung. Okay. And I said, hold up, the same number. I picked it up, and the gentleman was like, this is the something realtor, and I'm looking to buy your home. Da, 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 da. I said, wait, let me tell you something. Did you just call my other number? He was like, well, we have this service, this automated. I said, yeah, you know what? That was very aggressive, and that was very disgusting. I have nothing for you. If I did not call you or give you my number, take me off of your call list. And this is what happened. They're very aggressive, and they have this type of technology, AI technology, that they're linking all of people's phones together, even when you have separate phone companies. Okay. Scammers are taking out $45,000 home loans without the homeowner knowledge. This is how deep and intrinsic these scams are going, and we want to keep showing you the different ones because they are so creative. I'm like, very, very creative. These people are. Let's get to it.
Investigator David Hammer's been tracking a spate of real estate fraud this year, and tonight he exposes a new kind of fraud involving a Metairie contractor and fake home improvement loans.
David Bryan and his wife Anne Marie both grew up in New Orleans. They met at Tulane.
About 25 years ago, we moved away to Minneapolis.
But now they're missing home.
We're going to be retiring soon, and we still have family and friends here, and we wanted to come back once we're both retired.
They bought this uptown house last year, ready to make it their forever home. Then one day this spring, David got this in the mail.
You owe $45,000 on a loan, no payment due right now. It seemed kind of fishy, but you get those every once in a while. You know, you've been pre-approved, so I kind of ignored it, but it was suspicious enough that I hung on to it, and the next month I get another one.
It was from a California lender called Good Leap, which offers home equity loans for energy-efficient projects like solar panels or new doors and windows. Bryan had never heard of Good Leap. He asked the lender to send him documents from this supposed loan. There's his name on the loan application and an electronic signature.
But the only thing that matched the real record was your name.
Was my name.
Not your social security number?
Nope, not my phone number, not my email address.
Wow.
Nothing. On the whole process from beginning to
They put the whole wrong thing there.
and they didn't seem to do their due diligence.
Hey, that's a long social security number. Whoever went over that paperwork, that's the loan number. I'm about to say that's a long social security number.
Beginning to end, they didn't seem to do their due diligence. Not on the loan application.
Not on paying the loan proceeds either.
Good Leap paid the construction company directly, Deep South Renovations. And they did it, and they didn't have any proof that the work was done or anything. They just took their word for it that the work was done, paid them directly the $45,000.
Good Leap slapped a UCC lien on Bryan's property for the unpaid loan. It said he got solar panels, but he didn't. Deep South Renovations told Good Leap Bryan got new doors and windows. He didn't, and he's far from alone.
A UCC lien is where a creditor is putting a lien on a property to put others on notice that he has an interest in something in the property, whether it be furniture, equipment, or in this case, we had solar panels. solar panels that never existed on the property, but that's what the UCC lien said.
Lauren Griffin is a real estate attorney at Crescent Title. One of her clients also got a lien from GoodLeap, also for solar panels that never got installed, also for $45,000 that went to Deep South renovations.
The only way that my client found out is because someone notified him, someone who also was a victim of these UCC liens.
I figured that I couldn't possibly be the only victim. So I went back to land records and I printed out, at my expense, about $250, copies of all GoodLeap liens in Orleans Parish.
This third victim said he's afraid to give his name because he's the one who filed this police report against Deep South Renovations and reached out to warn as many people with GoodLeap liens as he could find.
And subsequently, I heard back from about 8.
Now the FBI is investigating.
The FBI called me and they said, no, it's more than 10. It's more than one lending company.
Law enforcement sources say GoodLeap paid Deep South almost $1 million for about 20 bogus loans.
I've spoken to the FBI twice, but I know that they're investigating.
Investigating Deep South and its owner, Samantha McGee.
I know that her contractor's license for this fake company that she established has been removed.
This is Deep South's supposed office, a vacant storefront in Metairie. We found McGee recently took out a $450,000 purchase bond on this Metairie townhouse. The seller says McGee paid the first $50,000 and stopped, and now he's going to have to evict her. U.S. Marshals confirmed they went to the house last year to arrest McGee for failing to show up in federal court on an unrelated matter. Neighbors saw her pull up in her late model Mercedes, but she wouldn't answer the door or any of our phone and text messages.
I think it's really galling that somebody can get away with this so easily.
Yes.
Extraordinarily easy, because GoodLeap doesn't do any due diligence.
GoodLeap Vice President Jesse Comart says the lender has, quote, an extensive due diligence and fraud prevention process. But he says GoodLeap was victimized by, quote, a highly sophisticated group that appears to have the ability to create or obtain fraudulent Social Security numbers and then associate the SSNs with innocent property owners.
Wow.
He says GoodLeap referred the case to the FBI in Sacramento and has been cooperating with the federal investigation.
UCC liens are now a new kind of fraud that we haven't seen before. And so when we first got this call, this was new to us. But fraudsters are trying anything they can right now.
In the meantime, Griffin says property owners should guard against those fraudsters.
To protect themselves, people can freeze their credit. If you're in Jefferson or St. Tammany, there are systems in place where they notify you if anything's been placed on your property. But hopefully the other parishes will follow suit in that, and that everyone can be notified if something is put on your property, whether it's real or fraudulent.
The Orleans Parish Clerk's Office says it's in the final testing stages for a new notification system like the ones in Jefferson and St. Tammany parishes. Property owners will be able to opt in for email alerts starting in January.
There's a few counties that's doing that as well because they're noticing the fraud, especially with the deed transfer. We have another fraudulent case to show you. But you see how intricate that is? This person didn't even give them rights. The paperwork was mixed up. Social Security was not matching, and it still was able to process through. And what they do secretively is put a lien on through the UCC. That is something that I've been said that I was going to go over with the family primetime home buyers, and I think that that's something that we have to touch. That the UCC is an open registry where you can find debt. If you have debt on yourself, on a home, you can look through the UCC register and find it. That is one of the ways that we teach people to do your due diligence. The UCC is an open registry where you can find debt associated with property. Does that make sense? So they're going the extra mile to create all of this fraudulent paperwork and then getting it registered on the UCC. Once it's on the UCC, you have to go through certain procedures to get it off. And then one of the main things is have that creditor have a release of lien, the same way that they would do if you had wanted to take a loan and you had a lien on your property, like for $10,000 and you pay $5,000, and you want to take another loan, and that company like, well, you got $10,000 loan, and you like, well, I don't, it's only $5,000. He's like, well, go to your company and get a partial release of lien. that company will write a letter and notify the UCC, go up there and say that the debt is $5,000. They don't have to update it in between the debt payoff, but they post to update it when the debt is paid off. So this is what these scam artists is doing, going deep, deep down the yellow brick road of things that the average person will not even think about. UCC scams. That is ridiculous. And I'm so glad I understand what the UCC is, because I could break it down to you. Now it makes sense why God made me subjected to all of this stuff. I told y'all I had learned a lot of this following the secure party creditor, but I wasn't crazy enough to do all of what they was doing. But I was reading. Every time I came to a part that was a glitch that didn't make sense, I was like, okay, let me learn about this. Because the way they was explaining UCC and representation in the secure party creditor was sort of what it's used for, but they said that our birth certificates is on the UCC, or you supposed to register your birth certificate on the UCC. That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, that's how I learned about the UCC. Now let's get to it. 100 of Colorado homes locked in predatory listing contracts. Check how this one works. These people nasty. They nasty, but some people too, I think they incoherent because they shouldn't be doing stuff like this. Let's go.
Well, it was during COVID.
Tough times rarely are singular.
I was home recovering from breast cancer. I had a double mastectomy.
Hence the phrase, when it rains, it pours.
I had taken a huge cut in pay based on COVID.
The storm of 2021 hit Laura Walsh especially hard.
And I needed the money to help pay my bills, my medical bills.
So she looked to her biggest asset, her home, for a little financial help, searching for refinancing offers online.
And out of nowhere, I received a text from a company.
A text offering Walsh a deal. Sign this contract, letting us, MV Realty, sell your home if and when you're ready to sell, and we'll give you cash now.
It was $1,500 for basically doing nothing. It took care of some small things that at least got me some relief.
About a year later, Walsh decided to sell her home. So she reached out to the company, MV Realty, to get it on the market.
I couldn't find or contact any of them when it was time to sell my house.
She says phone numbers were disconnected. Emails
set
went
up.
unreplied.
I tried to look them up online, and the only thing I could find was an office listed down in Centennial. And I went down there and there was nobody there. It was a small, empty, like storefront.
We went there too.
Hey guys, looking for, is MV Realty based in here?
Nope, she told me not here.
But based in Florida, known for this. Homeowner benefit agreement in exchange for a small amount of cash up front. This agreement gives MV Realty the exclusive right to list your home, meaning that they get thousands of dollars in commission when you sell it. Now, if you do go through another real estate agent to sell your home, this contract still guarantees that MV Realty pockets 3% of the sale. And it says this agreement is a covenant on the land, meaning even if the homeowners die, their successors are still on the hook. And to make sure everyone knows about this agreement, MV Realty files a memorandum with the clerk and recorder. Then
disappear.
They just wait.
I just thought they went away.
Unable to contact MV Realty, Walsh listed her home with another agent, found a buyer too. The home went under contract. And then
the very next day, I received an email with a lawsuit saying breach of contract.
The contract showing that MV Realty was entitled to 3% of Walsh's sale price, nearly 20 grand.
I mean, they literally did nothing for that money.
Walsh is by no means alone. We scoured county property records and found more than 900 of these agreements.
900? Wow.
More than 900 Colorado homeowners who signed up for the homeowner benefit program between 2021 and 2023.
They may have signed it and not know what the ticking time bomb they're sitting on.
I know better. I know better.
Ponce Chavez is no stranger to financial contracts.
I was in banking since 1977. I knew a lot of the scams that were going on out there.
Yet she also got a text from MV Realty and signed that same agreement.
I just deposited the check and paid some bills.
When she went to refinance her home, the memorandum filed with the clerk and recorder halted the deal.
I was duped.
The bait and switch.
Good.
MV Realty's agreements have ticked off a lot of people in real estate across the country. 6 states sued the company in the past year. Here in Colorado, MV's listing contracts got the attention of state lawmakers.
It's designed to be predatory. The intent is to do as little work for as much money as possible.
But while they call these agreements predatory, they also realized they were technically legal.
While I think it was clear to everybody that they were violating the intent and the spirit of Colorado real estate law, they weren't violating the letter.
Senate Bill 77.
So Democratic State Senator Nick Heinrichsen
Bad practices.
sponsored legislation to ban them going forward.
To not allow a recordable lien.
It passed with bipartisan support.
That passes unanimous.
Good news for homeowners moving forward. Bad news for the 900 people who've already signed.
It's incredibly difficult for legislation to impact contract law retroactively.
Scam.
And this legislation does not.
Bad news for people like Ponce Chavez.
They didn't grandfather it in.
They all signed an agreement that's effective for 40 years.
Fuck. In my language.
40 years? 40 years? Good Lord. No.
Ridiculous.
40 years?
When Chavez learned that, she told us she'll have to die in her current home.
It's just something that we have to live with now unless we could find a way to dump them, without paying them $15,000, because I don't think that they deserve it.
Some we've talked to have taken their house off the market after threats from MV Realty. Others, like Laura Walsh, felt pressure to pay up.
It's completely unscrupulous and taking advantage of people, especially at the time when they came after me.
In the end, Walsh paid $9,000 to the real estate agent who did all the work to sell her home, and nearly $20,000 to MV Realty for doing nothing.
Jeez.
We work too hard to make the money we do to pay for the homes that we have. It's the American dream, and to me, it was the American nightmare.
Mm.
In a statement, MV Realty called their homeowner benefit program innovative and said it fully complies with the law. Yet amid all of these lawsuits nationwide, the company says it has paused signing up new people. The Colorado Attorney General couldn't comment on whether the office is investigating MV Realty. Do you have one of these deals with MV Realty? We want to hear from you.
Listen. They need to arrest the people who are doing this. I don't understand why the FBI is not arresting them and making them pay all of those people, or just canceling out those alleged fees. Do you see that? First and foremost, I'm going to have to say people have to take responsibility, because $1,500 is not a lot. Just to deposit $1,500, that's barely a mortgage payment. And you just, okay, I'm going to deal with this company without doing some deep research. One of the things that made me really notice that a lot of the people who were making offers on one of my property were scam artists is when I looked at the address of the contract, it would not match any address on the email. If the email had an address, the person would be calling from one number, and then there'll be another number on the email. I had one person say, I was like, why every time you call is a different number? Oh, I'm so sorry. It's just my phone that does that, this, that, and the third. No, because you're a scam artist, okay? And your emails are unprofessional, and you're trying to get me to sign a contract so you can buy and sell this home at the same time. Now, this is the next thing that's very important. You have to read the contracts. You have to take your time, read it in detail. Get a lawyer to read the contract. If you see anything funny in the contract, then you know not to move forward. We are all not educated in contract law. Another thing you want to highlight, even if you get a lawyer to read it, tell them, I don't want to read it for, don't read this for structure. Read it for contractable agreement and accuracy. Okay? Because I had paid a lawyer and he read it for structure, but he did not read it for contract accuracy. So the brokerage company on the actual offer did not have anything to do with the buyer. The buyer was a scam artist. Okay, we're gonna do a live about some of these things I have came across. One of the companies like Orchard, I have an experience with Orchard. They tried to devalue one of my properties. I'm going to talk about that. How you stop people from devaluing your property. Simply say no and don't be a fool. Sell to Rent was another company that I looked into, learned a lot about them. A few more. So we're going to have one broadcast that's going to be dedicated to understanding how, your options with selling your home and how to avoid them scamming you. Because even Orchard, okay, I was like, I need to speak to a supervisor because your evaluation is a lie. Ma'am, that's what she saw. I said, where's the pictures? I just sent you emails of all the things that was replaced on that particular property. But in your evaluation, you said that the home needed those. Oh, okay. We're going to let the team look at it and this, that, and the third, Okay. Yeah, we're going to tell you about Orchard. So let's move forward. Another Louisiana resident loses property through recorded deed of office. Now, this was a scam that I talked to you guys about a while ago. You may not remember, but this is what I taught the buyback team when you're talking about different types of deeds, warranty deeds, quick claim deeds, and you don't want a quick claim. You want something that's a warranty deed. It's warranty that or guarantee that the homeowner is the right homeowner and they have the right to sell a property, as well as in some warranty obligations, they make that owner responsible for any liens that has been acquired on that property before the transfer. You get a quick claim deed. That deed can be made by anybody that just got your information, and they can sell a property to someone and someone could buy it and it'll get recorded. They take the money and leave. All of a sudden the person comes to the home and you be like, hey, what the hell are you doing here? They be like, well, I have this paper. And you're like, that's fraudulent. That's not my signature. And then you have a whole bunch of unraveling to do. So let's listen to this story because it highlights this type of scenario with transfer of deeds. Okay. They need to do, he has to get a lawyer and sue, and they believe that he's not going to be able to sue. That's why they're acting so arrogant. We have shown something like this before, and this is something that can be fixed. They already know a quick claim deed is not a secure deed transfer in itself by legal terms. So for them to be so arrogant about the process and to see the actual mistakes, the witness is the same person as the notary, that is an administrative error, and that is so disgusting on how arrogant the St. Louis recorder of deeds, whatever he is acting. That didn't make me feel good.
I want to buy your house.
Sorry, you hear him?
I can pay you cash for your house, no matter what condition it's
Look at this shit.
Do you own an
Just talking about these fucking commercials. Look at this shit.
ugly, rundown house that you just want to get rid of?
Yeah, be careful of these damn commercials coming up. You see how God is? Look at him. He's probably scam himself. I don't want to get off of my screen. Anyway, so you see how the mistakes is actually happening on an administrative level. And this is why I explained to you administrative issues, even if people want to deny it, just like he did, all he needs to do, that's why the lawyer said they didn't respond yet if they're getting involved. Because once he get a lawyer, they got to get involved. That's what happened with Queen Anne County. I talked to the lawyer and said, this was the situation. This wasn't correct. The way that the form is written up indicate this. He said, prove it. Because he just thought I was going to leave it. And guess what Lashley did? Jumped on that ass and proved it. Excuse my language. We get into our last clip today on our trending topics. Market Watch with primetime home buyers, tax lien expert Lashley. I appreciate you guys being with me today, and I do apologize for me not going live. Just been so much going on. So this is one of the major updates that I want to leave you guys with. That's going to shake up the housing market. This is brought to you by PBS NewsHour. Lawsuit challenge real estate commission could shake up the housing market. Okay. Let's put it on the screen. What we got going on.
Federal Reserve is projecting as many as 3 interest rate cuts next year. That could help lower mortgage rates, which this year have been at a 2-decade high, and make homeownership more affordable for many. Some experts also point to a landmark jury decision that could also change the cost of buying and selling a home. Economics correspondent Paul Solman has the story from Missouri.
If you think I'm going to cut my bleeping commission,
one senior realty broker sharing his favorite commission tactic.
You can take this home and shove it up you bleeping, and I know that it will fit.
This clip from a real estate podcast, and one's not quite so bleep heavy, helped persuade a federal jury in Missouri that the National Association of Realtors and its members have illegally conspired for decades to fix commission rates on home sales. Money paid to selling agents who invariably cut in the buyer's agents 50-50. Plaintiff attorney Mike Ketchmark.
They work
Why
together.
is it that the only system in our entire country, if you want to sell something, that you're paying the other side?
Or as one of Ketchmark's plaintiffs, former policeman Jared Bright, put it,
what a weird system that the person that I had never met and did absolutely nothing for me as a consumer was getting the full percentage.
3%, fully half the typical total commission. Worse still, says winning attorney Ketchmark, large firms are coming to dominate the industry and have a huge incentive to preserve the system.
Half the time, these corporations are making their money representing sellers, and half the time they're making their money representing buyers. And so they're propping this system up, and they're benefiting each other.
But not anymore, assuming the verdict withstands appeal. For now, Ketchmark has won a $1.8 billion judgment on behalf of some 500,000 home sellers in just Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois.
We took 100 depositions of these top corporations in real estate, and they have training materials saying, fix your commissions at 6%.
When home sellers saw that I had written in a 6% commission into the contract and would ask Gino, aren't commissions negotiable? I would always answer confidently, yes, commissions are negotiable, but I can only go up.
And what we did is we started uncovering this.
So this next trial exhibit came as no surprise. Between 2015 and 2022,
we looked at the actual closing documents for the 110,000 homes sold in the Kansas City area. 98% of the time, the commissions were set between 2.5% and 3% to the buyer's commission. 94% of the time, it was right at 3%.
The 3% the seller's agent gave the buyer's agent as a cooperation fee. So in addition to through-the-roof mortgage rates these days, a now higher than ever median American home price of $430,000, about $26,000 of which is realtor commissions.
Thank you.
$13,000 for each agent, regardless of effort.
Ridiculous.
Making homes that much more expensive than even their market price.
Thank you.
And thus the complaint. Industry-wide commission fixing, as the video clips so blatantly suggested, agents colluding with the National Association, which owns the word realtor. To call yourself one, you must be a dues-paying member. The trade group's response?
Commissions have...
Let's stop there real quick. That's why I don't want my realtor license, because I don't want to be under this cloak of control and a little bit of corruption.
Always been completely negotiable. Will always be completely negotiable. And those are set up front with the listing agent and the seller
supposed to be
much ahead of time. And
look, a few individual brokers may behave badly, says Kip Cooper, CEO of the Kansas City Regional Association of Realtors, but
the National Association of Realtors has always been clear that, and it's in all of our guidance documents, it's in every meeting I've attended for the last 23 years, that we're not to talk about or set a commission rate.
Well, mum's the word for most of us when it comes to negotiating commissions.
I've never heard anybody talk about commission as part of their buying experience.
Thank you.
First-time home buyer Stephanie Green closed on this house in Kansas City last spring to accommodate the, extended family.
High five. High five.
To Green, buying was all about price. Negotiating the commission never occurred to her or to plaintiff Bright.
I thought, as a first-time home buyer in this experience,
that
6% is 6% is 6%.
Thank you.
But then, please bear with
So
me.
basically, what you need to know is that 6% is negotiable, okay? And I figured that out one day. I was looking for realtors, and there was this site that they were offering 4%, 3%. I'm like, oh, okay, they're offering lower. But now it makes more sense because it is always negotiable. They just said, oh, no, that is 6%. And then they don't want to negotiate.
As I try to untangle this legal web, why do sellers' agents share their commission instead of pocketing the whole 6%? Real estate economist Norm Miller.
The general feeling among the industry is that if they don't offer competitive buyer co-op fees, no one will show the home. That is, they'll steer away from it.
Okay, a seemingly rigged system.
Thank you. So as I said, when I had my realtor had my house up for sale, I thought that she was gonna be the one showing the home. Oh no, just leave the key in the box, everybody coming. But they have a chance of making 3% because this person, that's what they're offering. They know they work together in the background. You see that? You see the construction of the corruption?
Just as the jury found. And yet Stephanie Green likes the current system, even though she realizes home buyers like her wind up paying a sizable commission sort of hidden as part of the final price.
It really helped us out to be able to work that into the mortgage rather than having to pay it all up front.
This is the monopoly board game. So this is the pathway to home ownership.
And buyer's agents certainly often do provide plenty of value, especially as Tanisa Brown does for first-time home buyers.
Get a job.
I have a job.
You will never guess the amount of people who have reached out to us who are interested in buying a home but don't have a job or a source of income.
Her agency walks clients through the very basics.
You need to buy a house because you have a baby. Now you're thinking about the future.
I have 2 children. I have a son who's autistic. I wanted to write a letter so whoever home I was buying, they got to know a little bit about me.
Tylynn Beauvoir says one of Brown's agents coached her well beyond the inspection, title search, even financing.
She was like, if you're going to write a letter, let them know why and get personal if that's what you want. And so she attached it to every offer after that I put on there.
Beauvoir got the house from someone who was touched by her appeal. Brown, who runs the brokerage, worries about the judgment. Will her largely low-income clients be able to afford a buyer's fee up front if her agents are no longer paid as part of the price? Will they want to negotiate a commission?
The journey of home ownership or selling a home can be a roller coaster. So adding in the difficulties of now, another layer of negotiating what has been a standard for so long, it's just going to make it more difficult.
On the plus side of the judgment, maybe fewer of what Brown calls fly-by-night agents. There are some 2 million real estate agents in America, 1.6 million of them realtors, and yet barely 5 million homes sold last year. 1 in every 100 American workers holds a real estate license, and yet 80% of them sell little to nothing, says economist Miller.
If the fees come down and the good agents sell more homes, that means that there's a lot of part-timers and mediocre agents that are out of the industry.
So what's the economy's final verdict likely to be? Should the juries be upheld?
We should move towards what we see in other developed countries like the UK, Israel, Singapore, and that would suggest that the fees would move from 5 to 6% down to 3 to 4%.
Thank you.
If sellers and buyers start negotiating.
And we're going to leave it like that. So just know that you can negotiate even now your seller and buyer fee, your fees as far as the commission of your realtor. Some realtors, they're not about nothing. And it's so funny because this guy who was a realtor, he told me, he was like, I stopped being a realtor when I realized that they was all scumbags. I was like, oh, why you say that? And then I'm there going through it with these realtors. So with that goes to say, you have a great afternoon and I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. And thank you for being with the Buyback Team.
The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all. Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.